In 2015, Earth saw the birth of a new island, the first of its explosive type in 53 years. The blast was so large that nearby tourists caught the explosion on camera. Despite raging volcanic activity above and below the Earth's crust, an event like this is pretty rare, which is why it immediately caught the attention of Dr. Jim Garvin, chief scientist at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center and Mars expert.
It should be a pile of basaltic andesitic rocks. That's what you expect in this kind of setting. But there's more.
What does a Mars expert see in the island that the rest of us don't? The new island, unofficially known as Hunga Tonga-Hunga Ha'apai, is located in the remote southwest Pacific, nestled between two other islands in the Kingdom of Tonga. It's the first island of its kind to erupt and persist in the modern satellite era, giving scientists an unprecedented view from space of its evolution.
There are other islands being formed, including ones near Japan. Very nice, lava eruptions, classic. But this one was special because there was this explosive element that reminded us, at first glance, not exactly, of the kind of eruption at Surtsey.
This is the eruption Jim is talking about. An island born from a similar explosive eruption in 1963 and one of only 3 volcanic islands that have survived in the past 150 years. Very early in Jim's career, Surtsey was the first newly formed oceanic island he ever studied.
Dr. Jim Garvin, chief scientist here at Goddard.
Years later, he went on to become NASA's chief scientist, pushing the agency's priorities towards Mars exploration that eventually led to the creation of the Mars Exploration Rovers, the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, and the Mars Science Laboratory. So why is a scientist clearly fixated on Mars intrigued by new land on Earth? The truth is, the two systems are actually cosmically related.
I think these small islands, small volcanic islands, freshly made, evolving rapidly, are windows into the role of surface waters on Mars as they have affected small landforms like volcanoes. And we see fields of them on Mars.
There's a lot to unpack there, but before you can understand the major significance of this on Mars, you have to understand why it's a big deal on Earth.
It really felt like we were, witnessing something that nobody else had seen.
That's the voice of Dr. Vicky Farini, one of the first pairs of eyes to see the new island from the deck of her research vessel.
It's this crazy, huge landmass that's sticking up out of the water where we know there wasn't one before.
We watched this island change, and it got more and more exciting. It didn't wash away. While there was massive erosion, there was redeposition, protecting the island.
So the initial mass above sea level was eroding very quickly over the first 3 to 6 months, and then it leveled off, so you kind of see a curve, a logarithmic fall off in change of that mass above sea level.
Basically, the island dramatically changed shape and size every day for the first few months. About 6 months in, it finally stabilized. Vicky's initial measurements and observations were crucial, but their research ship couldn't get close to the island without risking a collision. 2 French explorers who were sailing past the island on their worldwide voyage became NASA's eyes and ears, collecting some of the very first images and samples of the interior island.
This is the Earth at its best, because new land, new life, new landscapes, new patterns. How do they all work together?
The combined observations, satellite images, samples, and 3-dimensional topographical maps led Jim and the team to make some pretty stunning preliminary conclusions. Scientists think that, in this case, warmed seawater interacted with ash after the eruption, chemically altering the fragile rock into a tougher material. But studying the life and death of land on Earth also has much broader implications. This island may give us insights into if and how life formed on Mars in its early history.
Islands like this might have worked on Mars 2 or 3 billion years ago. Lakes and small seas, filling depressions, persistent surface waters. The stuff we really strive to understand because it could have produced the conditions necessary for microbial life, or not.
While the verdict is still out on whether or not liquid water on the surface of Mars may have produced life, scientists are currently running detailed chemical analysis of the island rock samples that will hopefully provide more answers in the months to come.
Earth is a magical place because really it's our point of departure for everything. And we've come to realize in the last 100 years or so that it's a far more dynamic world than we ever thought.
Which begs the question, what new secrets will this planet we think we understand so well reveal in the next 100 years?
Hi, I'm Jim Garvin, Chief Scientist at NASA Goddard, and I'm interested in how volcanoes work, evolve, and tell us about Earth and Mars, and the birth and what we thought would be the death of Hunga Tonga-Hunga Ha'apai in the Southwest Pacific island nation of Tonga has been captured in time-lapse photography from space for the first time, adding 3 dimensions so we can watch the landscape respond to the forcings of planet Earth and see it in its different life stages, sort of like we watch our children grow up. Here we see this island evolving to its present state against all odds, surviving nearly 3 years against the battering of the Pacific Ocean. This is the lifestyle of an island evolving in space and time, and we study these to understand Earth and to extend that understanding to Mars.
The beautiful state of Uttarakhand is home to the Himalayas and to more than 10 million people like Shanti Devi. Shanti Devi has a newborn grandson who's coming into her life, she says makes up for the loss of one of her sons who died in the 2013 disaster. Natural hazards such as earthquakes, heavy rainfall, landslides occur frequently in Uttarakhand. In 2013, continuous heavy rainfall triggered massive flash floods and landslides affecting 4,200 villages, damaging more than 2,500 houses and killing more than 4,000 people. Usha Devi's house was washed away in the floods. She has not recovered from the trauma, but she feels safe in her new house. The house was built under the Owner-Driven Housing Construction or ODHC program of Uttarakhand Disaster Recovery Project or UDRP with support from the World Bank. UDRP was launched in 2013 by the government of Uttarakhand to build back better and to construct disaster-resilient houses.
The disaster, more than 2,500 people, they had lost their houses. So it was a big priority for the state government to give them houses. There was a strong demand from the people that they would like to construct their own houses. And it was decided that people will be allowed to construct their own houses and only certain basic minimum conditions will be attached, that a minimum area of around 40 square yards should be built and the houses should be disaster resilient.
Depending upon their requirement, the households put in their own money to build bigger houses with additional rooms or features.
Selection of the right beneficiaries was very important, and this was jointly done with the support of all the line departments and the revenue functionaries.
People whose sites were found to be geologically unsafe were relocated to safer locations. Society for Uttaranchal Development and Himalayan Action or SUDHA, a non-governmental organization, was roped in to support the beneficiaries.
सुधा ने पहले जो है एक अपना प्रोग्राम चेकआउट किया कि भाई हमें जो है हर डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में कितने इंजीनियर्स रखने चाहिए, कितने मास्टर मेसन्स रखने चाहिए और फिर उन सबको जो है बाकायदा ट्रेनिंग्स दी गई।
उनके पास एक बुक्स था, उस बुक्स के आधार पर जो है किस प्रकार से घर बनना है वो दिखाया गया है, तो उसी प्रकार से वो घर बनाया गया है।
These houses are made earthquake resilient by the use of vertical and horizontal reinforced concrete bands. 3 horizontal bands at the plinth, sill and lintel level run along the entire wall length of the house and connect the vertical reinforcement at all the wall junctions and on both sides of the door and the window openings. The vertical reinforcement at the wall junctions is anchored in the foundation. In some cases, the houses were retrofitted to include disaster-resilient features. In cases where it was feasible, the beneficiaries used locally available material.
People had an option of using local stones. They also had the option of using timber, which is really the traditional way of doing things.
The households were given a sum of Rs 5 lakhs in 4 stage-wise installments. A rent of Rs 3,000 per month was provided for a period of up to 24 months. The houses have been insured for 10 years against natural disasters.
We also formed a team of the district administration headed by the subdivision magistrate and various district level officers to oversee whether the work which is going on is of the desired quality and as per the housing policy of the state government and World Bank. As an offshoot of this program, we will be training all the rural masons in building disaster resilient structures. And we do hope that we'll build a better state in the future which will be more disaster resilient.
समाज में रह सकते हैं, आपको हम बिठा सकते हैं। बहरहाल अब तो सुरक्षित है, इसमें कोई संदेह नहीं।
सब मजबूत यानी कच्चे मकान नहीं बनाए, कोई बात घर के बाद टूटने की।
House owners like Shanti, who lost her family members and all hope, have rebuilt new houses with dreams and hopes for a better and safe future.
Post your comments below, and if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and follow us on social networks and subscribe to our channel. And thanks for watching. This is WC Daily. Think big, think different. Bye.
Yeah.